Have you ever wondered how Stoic philosophers dealt with their enemies? The ancient philosophy of Stoicism, founded in the 3rd century BC, offers a unique approach to this question. Stoicism teaches us that life's challenges, including our enemies, are opportunities for us to exercise our virtue and strengthen our character. The core principles of Stoicism revolve around understanding the natural order of life, accepting things we cannot change, and focusing on what we can control, mainly our perceptions, judgments, and responses. When it comes to dealing with enemies, Stoicism advises us not to react impulsively or let anger cloud our judgment. Instead, it encourages us to maintain our composure, show empathy, and respond with wisdom and virtue. This approach transforms the concept of an enemy from a source of harm or distress into a catalyst for personal growth and self-improvement. In this video, we will explore 15 Stoic ways to deal with your enemies without resorting to conflict. The first 3 principles revolve around acceptance, perspective, and self-control. Acceptance, the very first principle, is about embracing reality. It is a fundamental Stoic belief that we must accept the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. This might seem a little daunting at first, but it's actually quite freeing. It's about understanding that the world is beyond our control, and that's okay. It's about letting go of the desire to manipulate and control everything around us. It's about accepting that things happen, and sometimes they're not to our liking, but that's life, and it's all part of the grand tapestry of existence. Next, we delve into perspective. This principle encourages us to understand others' viewpoints. It's easy to get lost in our own thoughts and beliefs, to believe we're right and everyone else is wrong. But Stoicism teaches us to step outside our own experiences and consider things from another's perspective. It's about acknowledging that our truth may not be the only truth. This principle doesn't ask us to agree with everyone, but rather to understand that everyone has their own unique perspective, shaped by their own unique experiences. Finally, we come to self-control. This principle is about managing one's reactions. It's about realizing that while we can't control the world around us, we can control how we react to it. If someone insults you, it's your choice to be offended or to let it slide. If something doesn't go your way, it's your choice to be upset or to accept it and move on. Self-control is about understanding that our reactions are within our power, and we have the ability to choose how we respond to the world around us. These principles form the foundation of Stoic thought and set the stage for dealing with adversaries. They're not about destroying your enemies in the traditional sense, but rather about understanding and controlling your own reactions to them. It's about realizing that the only real enemy is the one within us, the one that refuses to accept reality, fails to understand others' perspectives, and lacks self-control. Next, we delve into empathy, resilience, and detachment. Empathy, the first of these principles, is the art of understanding the feelings of others. It is not about sympathizing or feeling the same emotions, but rather comprehending why people feel the way they do. In the context of dealing with adversity, empathy allows us to see the world through the eyes of our so-called enemies. This understanding can disarm tension, as we realize that, like us, they too are driven by their own fears, desires, and needs. Moving on to resilience, which in its simplest form is about withstanding hardships. It's the ability to bend but not break, to be knocked down but not knocked out. It is about developing an inner strength that allows us to weather the storms of life. Resilience doesn't mean we avoid hardships, but rather we learn to thrive in spite of them. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the storms that life throws at us, but we can control how we react to them. This is the essence of resilience. Lastly, let's talk about detachment. Now, don't misconstrue detachment as indifference or a lack of care. It is about maintaining an emotional distance that allows us to see situations clearly without being clouded by our emotions. Stoicism advises us to detach ourselves from the results of our actions, focusing instead on the actions themselves. This approach frees us from the anxiety of outcomes, allowing us to act with a clear mind and a steady heart. So how do these principles help us in dealing with adversarial situations? Empathy helps us understand our opponents, resilience allows us to withstand the pressures they may exert, and detachment helps us maintain a balanced perspective, free from emotional turmoil. By mastering these principles, we not only learn to handle adversarial situations, but also to grow from them. These principles equip us with the mental fortitude to handle adversarial situations. Now, let's consider virtue, wisdom, and fairness. Virtue is a commitment to moral excellence. It's about doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It's a steadfast dedication to justice, courage, moderation, and wisdom. It's about having a good character that shines through in every action we take. Then we have wisdom. This is not just about amassing knowledge, but using it to make good judgments. It's about understanding the world around us, discerning what is within our control and what isn't, and making decisions that align with our virtues. Lastly, there's fairness. This principle calls for just and impartial treatment of all, including those we consider our enemies. It's about giving everyone their due, regardless of personal feelings or biases. It's about recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every individual. These principles guide our actions and decisions when dealing with enemies. The next three principles are patience, courage, and integrity. Let's begin with patience. A Stoic understands that life is a marathon, not a sprint. Patience is not mere tolerance, but fortitude, the strength to endure and remain steadfast in our journey. It's about accepting the pace of life's unfolding, knowing that time often brings clarity and resolution. Next, we have courage. Courage transcends physical bravery. It's about standing firm in the face of adversity, about speaking out for justice, and daring to step into the unknown. It's not about the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Finally, there's integrity. This is the unwavering adherence to moral and ethical principles. It's about being true to yourself, even when no one is watching. Integrity is the compass that guides us, ensuring our actions align with our core values. These principles strengthen our character and fortitude in the face of adversity. Finally, we have serenity, humility, and forgiveness. Serenity, the first of these principles, is a state of calmness, even amidst the stormiest of situations. It's about maintaining a peaceful heart, even when the world around you is in chaos. The Stoic understands that turmoil is a part of life and finds peace within that understanding. Next, we have humility. This principle encourages modesty and the absence of ego. It's about acknowledging our flaws, accepting them, and understanding that we are not superior to others. A Stoic knows that pride is not a virtue, but a barrier to wisdom. Finally, forgiveness. This principle is about letting go of resentment. Holding on to anger only harms the holder, not the wrongdoer. The Stoic forgives, not necessarily because the other party deserves forgiveness, but because they themselves deserve peace. These last principles allow us to find peace and resolution even with our enemies. So, we've covered the 15 Stoic principles for dealing with enemies. A quick recap. Acceptance, perspective and self-control, empathy, resilience and detachment, virtue, wisdom and fairness, patience, courage and integrity, and finally, serenity, humility and forgiveness. Each of these principles serve as a guidepost, illuminating the path towards a non-confrontational and peaceful approach to conflict. The beauty of Stoicism lies in its simplicity. It teaches us to remain grounded in our virtues, to view challenges as opportunities for growth, and to treat others with understanding and fairness. When we embody these principles, we don't just cope with adversity, we leverage it to cultivate resilience and wisdom. The benefits of this philosophy are manifold. It fosters inner peace, bolsters emotional resilience, and promotes a deep sense of understanding and empathy towards others. It's not about defeating our enemies, but about enriching our own lives and the lives of those around us. Remember, the key to Stoicism is not to destroy your enemies, but to disarm them, transforming conflict into understanding and adversity into strength.